and say good afternoon, happy Friday. Welcome to the Market Watch Group weekly market wrap. My name is Scott. I'll be your host. As always, this is for education illustrated purposes only. We do not give anything that should be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security financial product. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. Yada, yada. What are we going to do today? Let's talk about today's market. Interesting day. Some buyers, do we give them credit? How much credit? We'll decide. We'll see what we think as we parlay this week into our market posture, having had the worst week we've ever had, taking us to the lowest score we've ever had in 2 years. Does it stabilize? Does it improve? Right? What are we going to see? Anyone carrying trades over the weekend? Did you take anything new? Did you go? Or are you going in and out intraday? If I'm going, that's where I'm going. I did take the gold trade. We'll look at that. Definitely been a wild ride. What to look for next week? Not a lot of economic news. What we do have is going to be, I think, interesting. I've never been, I don't know about any of you, being the consummate student of the market that I consider myself. I have never traded in an earnings season on the cusp of a trade war. Anyone else? I don't know what we're going to hear for buts. Anyone impacted by potential tariffs, which is going to be broad and far-reaching, right? Broad and far-reaching. Nobody alive has, I expect. Right, Todd? That's kind of my point. I said the same thing. I'm like, this is my first pandemic. Anyone else? Anyone been trading since 1918? I don't know. Keith, good to see you. I'm trying to dig to figure out. I'll tell you my source, just so you know, is ChatGPT, and I do have a premium version, so there's that. But I'm trying to be like, hey, what can we do to figure this out? I don't know. Like on our end, there's nothing. So if anyone's ever had like an issue with Circle, and they were able to get it addressed, that I would like to know. Have you reached out to them? Have you had to contact a measure of customer support or anything like that? And if so, how did you go about it? So that's, anyways. Okay. So as we go into earnings next week, that's my thought is, what do we see as they say, yes, here's what we just accomplished for the previous quarter, but here's our concern moving into what we're seeing from the shapings of the new tariff policies, what's already happened, what's been implemented, right? Like, anyway. Okay. What else? Any opportunity? It's funny because I didn't have an opportunity list. I'm still not sure if I will. We got to see the dust settle before we start thinking, hey, let's line this up, right? Anything maybe ETF based, SPY, GLD, GDX, intraday. Yeah. If I'm going to trade something, I'm looking for something that made a nice little pop up and is having a slow pullback where, yeah. So let's go through it. We'll talk about it. Trade risk management was the trading plan section of the week. Tell me how your progress is going. Here's today's market. What do I have? I have an engulfing. Market's up almost 2%. Let's talk about what we like and what we don't like. It's trying the, okay. Thank you, Keith. No luck so far. If possible, and maybe you have already, but if you could give me like the summary of like, this is what happened. When I do this, this is what works. This is what doesn't. and see what I can. If you've already done that, just be like, I've already done that. Just piece it through the other messages. Like if you're like, I'm not trying to be lazy. Anyway, all right. Oh, sorry, Miguel. Keith has he had a system update. I want to put it out there. He's trying to keep it private, because not like it's private, but just he doesn't want to interrupt the group. But I want to bring it to the group because Circle is still relatively new. And so he had like an update, and it's like he can log into some things and other things not. He's trying to work with their customer support. So I'm just kind of saying, hey, if anyone's ever had an issue, I would love it if you just, I want to actually be better apprised when there are issues with Circle, so that in an ongoing fashion, we're better equipped to help people. This needs to be a scalable thing, right? We're growing pretty fast, right? And so, yeah, if anyone has an experience that they had to work through, I'd like to start documenting that so that I can, give our admin a little bit more support. Like I said, we're starting to see a pretty big growth rate, and I don't want to scale into a bunch of problems. So, unfortunately for Keith, but he's a little bit of a guinea pig. Like, hey, how are we going to fix this when it happens? That's my question, because I don't know. I'm trying to work on it and figure it out. Apparently not. What he told me was he's trying their chat support, not really getting a lot of progress. A lot of places these days keep their costs down by having less live people to talk to, or AI, right? Yes. And so sometimes when you have, I'll tell you what, we had an issue like that when we were on Discord. I was just like, I had an issue, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, finally I got it figured out, but it was just absolutely infuriating. So let's talk about today. What do we like? It's an engulfing pattern. It opened down. As we said, it can open down and finish 2% higher. There we are. Opened down, finished 2% higher. It's an engulfing. What do I not like? So let's draw some lines, first of all. And I want to hear from the group what you like or don't like. Don't just listen to me soapbox. Pretty key level of support right here that held. Right? It held, and it held, and now what? And now we're kind of like, as we fall off of it, if we can't get back up to that, that's concerning. Yeah? What would, there you go, not sustainable. Okay, there's the conversation moving in the right direction. Thank you, Sandy. Let's talk about sustainability as traders. What key indicator do we have that will, and I want to orient this to beginners, right? I don't want this to feel like an advanced trading conversation. I want this to feel like a beginner's trading conversation. What indicator is going to really orient us to sustainability? I give gold stars on Fridays. Start throwing your answers out, and then I'll give you a hint. If you want an early hint, just let me know. Starts with a V. Look at Vladimir, put it up there. Starts with a V, ends with an volume. Miguel, thank you. Love it, you guys. Let's have some fun in this weird ass market, man. It's so weird. We've been in weird markets before. I tell people all the time, if you're looking for it to make sense, this is the wrong place. We're okay with it not making sense. We can figure it out. I feel pretty comfortable with where we got when we got to like less momentum, to bearish, to like when did we hedge, to when did we stop, when did we get to a lot of cash. I will ride on how we did in that relative to a lot of traders. I feel pretty comfortable. I mean, our last three trades, positive on gold, positive on SPY puts, positive on NI. So what don't I like? as we move forward, feeling pretty comfortable with what we see. This is hard, but I don't like that we got up there and just got like really scared. There was definitely the sign of FOMO that we know there are buyers, but now all of a sudden everyone's like, wait a second, like we don't want to be suckered in. It's interesting that this bear line, remember this line was the 20% line. The 20% line. That's the bear market line. And you'll notice that it dipped below it, held, tested it. That's actually a pretty good line right there in this that I could absolutely see show up as a double bottom. Right? And if it's a double bottom from here, that's a pretty good drop. We have plenty of some potential bearish opportunity there. So am I thinking like this thing may die on this and then test somewhere between here and possibly even further to the downside? Yeah, we should absolutely have that as on our plate of possibilities. How many possibilities? I'm thinking maybe like 4 possibilities. What about just simply starting to advance from here? Sure. Let's go red. Right? Do we think that if we got a second day and then this thing maybe could actually turn into this? Yeah, that could be a possibility, right? Those are the two primary, right? That's our binary possibilities. Of course, other possibilities would be, if it moves up and then sort of veers into, let's make it pink. It veers up and then just sort of stalls along this level where it just can't quite find one way or the other, right? And it wouldn't be tight necessarily like this. Like it could pop around a little bit, right? So that's definitely a possibility. The same generic, it drops back down and then it sort of stalls. Let me see here. Stalls here in this kind of like same kind of a thing, but this lower region, right? There's where I see the probability over the next week lying is something in that vein. Obviously, red and blue is where we would have some ability to make some sustainable money. Right? A little bit of sustainable money. Where if we had a bullish trade where we identify maybe 4 or 5 candidates that are market leaders that if they move could be a deciding factor to the upside. We'll talk about that list of candidates. Am I going to put a trade on today on this? No. Why not? Let's just leave this up for a minute. How do you like today's colorful drawing? First of all, I feel like I like that one today. It's a good one. Had a system update since then when I try to log in, it sort of starts my own rather than take me to watch. Oh, Keith. Okay. Maybe And if there was a break there, we used to use the Circle live trading, Live Room, but their Live Room doesn't function on apps. When you're on a mobile, you couldn't use it, and so we completely switched to a Zoom function. So it is going to always take you to a third party. Like it doesn't stay in there. So that. Let's go back and forth on that now that I have a more clear understanding. Maybe, anyway, anything can happen over the weekend. Anything is likely to happen. I mean, like, right? EL, that's a great point. And that's always my Friday thought process is like, hey, how how confident are we that we're trading into some weekend stability? I show a little bit of a reluctance when our posture is a 5 or a 6, and I'm like, you know what? I'm probably going to take some gain just because it's Friday, and then just right. Like, but now it's like anything could happen. There could be any crazy announcement of tariff or retaliation or news or this or God, who knows? Who knows? All right. What's tradable? I think the most tradable thing here is the blue path. Unfortunately. Why? Well, because that matches our posture. We just went to the lowest point we've ever seen. This is the worst market in 2 years. And longer, probably, because I could go back and see. I somewhere have my own records. Let's walk through this. Yeah, no, let's go through the whole thing, I think. Yeah? And let's be open about what we see or don't see or what we're concerned about. Here's the weekly. I'm going to erase this, but I'll be ready to bring it back. I like that drawing. It's one of my favorites. So last week we got here. This week we tested lower, but moved higher. Does that score this to a lower range? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say what we saw was fine. We're back up more than halfway. That's significant. I would still want to see it where maybe it kind of does something like this and then it regains. That purple line might come back into favor for us. That takes a while. Thank you, Sandy. If I could frame it and put it on my fridge, I would. This score will not change. Weekly for me stays the same. Let me know if you've already started thinking about yours and if you're going to change or not. Last week, 1, 2, 3, 4. God, so funny. Last week we were here. Same thing. We tested a little bit lower. I don't really feel like I need to go back in time to find anything else because we got up and down and we're now sitting here. That's actually quite a recovery, but not enough. I'm not going to let it go. I'll probably say unchanged as well. Last time we went to a minus 0.5. At this point, even if this were to come back and go like this, that's really that's a 0. So a minus 0.5 is very easily sustainable from where we are now, remembering that the market overreacts, remembering that we always orient a little more bullishly. I don't see any reason based on this being our last. We scored it pretty negatively there, right? We dropped it a half of a point. No negative until now, Bob Walker says. There you go. Bob Walker's OG. He's OG Market Watch. So yeah, we're a bit in no man's land for me. If this thing stalls out, and that's where we were headed, was volume. Remember, it's an interesting thing. Yesterday was a selling day of volume. We had a buying day we need to mark, and then we have a selling day we need to mark, and then what is this going to be? Nothing. Average volume is now 102 million. You can't have just any old day. This right here is equal to one of these smokestacks back here that all were above average. Now it's not going to get there. We've only got 35 minutes left. This thing is 30 million shares short. This is not going to be above average. But let's zoom in. So far unchanged, which means we might see a stable week. That'd be nice. So we need one there. And we need one there. But we don't need one there. And we need one. Whoops. One there. And you go here. And I need a buy. Ooh. Whew, man, it's getting so now what are we going to do? Well, on Sunday, I'm going to basically throw this out. We have a sell, a tie, and a sell, but with it being stale and with it being kind of sideways, at least from right, this is moving like this. It's all kind of getting old. So yeah, you're gone. I have this tie. I don't really care about that. And now what do we have? Okay, so this will be interesting, you guys. We have a buy and a buy. We had that early, like maybe right before tariff reveal party day. And then we have another buy there. So we have 3 greens. Let's go sells in red. So we have a sell, a sell, a sell, a sell, 4, and a tie. Am I missing anything, anyone? That is actually an improvement. So that is a 4, 3, 1. I mean, that's almost a tie. And a tie, if it was a 4-4-1, I would actually give it a 0.25. Tie goes to the buyers. So I'm actually going to say that that's a 0. The volume has, according to our volume analysis, using a 1 month, which is approximately 22 trading days, looking at the 20-day moving average and then looking at the assessment. So we had this lull through here. Then it got nasty quickly, but even right now, it's kind of showing where it's like, we're going to call it a tug. We're going to call it a draw. The buyers have showed up. Challenge me on that. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm right. Tell me you're not sure. What do you think about that? So I'm gonna be a 0, but a 0, ironically, is a half of a point improvement. So that actually shows like not too bad. Major market, I think, is still going to be pretty nasty. Sector rotation, I think, is still going to be pretty nasty. Let's go look at the VIX. Yeah, let me know if you challenge that thought. Where's Steven when I need him to challenge my volume analysis? It's an interesting little thing going on here. What would the sanity check? Pink. We're starting here and we're ending here. What kind of a line does that produce? Pretty flat overall. Down a little bit. Is a 0? Yeah, I would say okay. So interesting. Now let's go to the VIX real quickly, and then we'll go through our watch list. Miguel says no, he's going to stay minus 0.25. All right, I appreciate the perspective. I appreciate the perspective. Miguel being argumentative for no reason other than to be argumentative. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm just kidding. Of course I want the counter perspective every time. Every time. Okay. What was I looking for, you guys? The VIX. That's what I was looking for. It's Friday. Friday. Okay, the VIX is very interesting because, there's 2 scenarios here. Scenario number 1, this turns up on Monday. That's a higher low, and we're like, this thing could accelerate again. Are you like, oh, so Scott, are you going to buy some puts? God, those are expensive puts through here, right? You're in a high 30, low 40 VIX. I'm thinking more like weekly credit spreads, weekly bear call. Even if it doesn't fall all the way, as long as it's out of the money, it expires worthless. You got to be, you're not going to get like these clean trades with these clean. You got to be willing to build the right trade. So I am thinking that this sets up bearish. But what else does this set up? It also sets up an alternative path, more of a green path where it goes up and it just sort of stalls, and then this rolls over, and then all of a sudden we have a different mark because this is a high, and then this becomes a lower high. And a lower high is a pretty significant thing for us when we're coming out of a high volatility market. A high volatility market where we know there's powder in the keg, there's buyers lined up. If it gets bullish, I want to get on the right side of it right away. And the prospect is there for that. So if you're like, okay, so what do you mean, Scott? You're thinking it might go either way next week? Yeah, that's enlightening. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, that's the best I got. Could go up, could go down. Welcome to the club. But at least I'm going to have some pretty specific ideas of how I would trade one or the other, which wouldn't start till Monday. So it means Sunday we have a real good chance to gain clarity with that decision matrix based on how our posture turns out. Sandy, I don't know what that emoji means, but let me hover my mouse on it. Flushed. Yeah, okay. Flushed is fine. I accept that. Okay. All right. But yeah, it's interesting, right? Because when we bought those puts were back in this area here. They're around $4. I don't even know what they'd be now. Ridiculous. Yeah, very confused, right? So let's clear this. What's the pattern? Here's I'm going to start to draw it, and you can say what you think it is. You can say what you think it is as I draw it, okay? And this is a tough one. I'm going to give credit multiple ways. The way I'm seeing it, it starts with a P. The way others might see it, oh, El Jago wins. Ding, 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 ding. I didn't even have to give the enant. Yes, it's only 5 days. So some might say symmetrical triangle, but a triangle is like a weekly pattern. Like it's like up and then down and then up and then down. This is a pennant. A pennant's a daily pattern, 4 or 5 days. So to me, this is all one, like, I'm not quite sure yet. Now, I just don't see this. If we were to break the upside of this pennant, if we break the upside of this pennant with volatility at 50, it's going to be a shit show. Like something nasty's happening for that. I'm just saying. But it could. Or it could at very least, like, I do still think that it could, like, test up and hit that, or I'm not quite sure. But I told you, as long as we're north of 30, we're in no man's land. It's a viable possibility. We're in no man's land. Whatever would make you want to commit to a market like this, reevaluate your premise. That's my suggestion. I'll be willing to, if I see something, I'll be willing to take some trades and take a run at some things. But Not lightly. Not when this is what we have for conditions. We're kind of in a hurricane, right? Or at least a major tropical storm. I don't know. We can fish. We just have to be careful. Engagement's off, right? Exactly. Let's go through the watch list. Let's find what are the things that if there was like a bullish type of a lower high, if we pop up under this and we break to the downside of that, what might I come out of this with? Apple. I mean, look at Apple. It's still kind of moving up from this. So consolidation, even however, you'll see we have this funny little floating little guy on a lot of charts that are below the previous level of support, but above the current level of resistance. Glenn gave an alert. Oh, like an intraday alert, or but not posted. I didn't see something post. Did he post it or just sort of like orally went through it? I'm not in the loop on that. Catch me up. Oh, it was posted? Oh, shit. Well, we're supposed to be more, because it only goes one place if it's posted but not emailed and texted. Oh yeah, GDX. No, that was a couple of days ago. Sorry, I thought you meant today. Yes, GDX. There was an update. Okay. And what did he do today? $49.50. Bam. First target. That was actually my whole target. I was thinking 54 seems so high for this time frame for me. But I also don't really understand gold maybe as much. So I did my whole thing. I wanted to wait and see what he did, but I was the whole thing off. Did he carry some? Who's carrying some? Who's in it still? Who booked a gain? Where did you book it? Any strategy to keep costs down on gold, you mean? Or on Lee, you're still in? Vladimir still in? Yeah. Yeah, have a good thought for that. I mean, it's made a hell of a run, hitting some resistance at 50. I would say at least take something. Think about your strategy for how you're going to manage profits into next week. This is a windfall for me. I really was not, because Glenn put it out. I feel like, hey, you know what? This isn't my trade. It's not a jinx. So that's why I took it. Nice. Well done. I like that. I actually was waiting for it to get there, but for me, when it got there, I looked at what my gain was and I was like, it is, Miguel, because right now it's seen as a tariff hedge. Right now, this is the tariff hedge trade. So, yeah. I agree. It could be. I might everything hedge kind of. Yeah, I'd say it's considered defensive. Gold can have like funky behaviors these days, though. So whatever typical intermarket correlations we expect between currencies, bonds, interest rates and commodities, they can be disrupted on the short term on a regular basis. On the long term, you tend to be able to see those correlations hold. But there are plenty of times in the short term where you're like, what? This doesn't make sense. Oop, there it is again. It doesn't have to make sense. If you have the stock, remember on the stock, you don't want to cover it until you believe it's done going higher. If you would have sold a $45 call, you don't get any of this. The person who bought the call gets that. So when you think it's done going higher, and you can see the stochastic, like Miguel makes a good point. The stochastic, there could be good to hold. This thing has potential to move up in here, but let's say that on Monday it hits and it starts to do this, and this starts to kind of turn over a little bit, and you think 50, and you could even say I'm going to go to the next major strike up, which would be like, I don't know if they have $50, I'd have to go look, but like a 2.5 increment, or 52 or 53, something up here where you're out of the money. Because you're selling something that you don't think it's going to get to. You don't really want to sell someone else your stock. You just want to rent it to them for a little bit. Because let's say if you did this here and you did the 52.50, it's a little out of the money, but you probably still get like, if you did the 30-day option, you'd probably still get like $4 or $5 for it based on this extreme volatility. Let me see if I can go find that out. Is this an okay conversation? I'll get back to the watch list. If you've ever been interested in covered calls, I think you would like this. Let me just go into the GDX. I'm just going to go look at like 30 days, and let's go out to May 29 or May 9th. And I'm going to go out of the money. We're at 50. Oh, maybe not as good as I thought. So 52 is 30 days, let's go $1 out of the money, about $2.50 or so. Let's just call it. So I get $2.50. So someone pays me $250 for every 100 shares I have to own the right at 52.50. Well, if this thing drops to 46 and then it starts to turn around, well, 2 weeks has passed and this is now $6 out of the money. Right? How much would this cost? It would probably cost 70 cents, let's say. We'll say 75. What does that mean? That means that I could buy back the calls for 75. I sold them for 250. I buy them back for 75. I make $175 profit. So let's say I had 200 shares. I just made $350. And this thing is making a higher low. A higher low is bullish. And I own shares. I don't want to be covered. If it's making a higher low, I want to uncover it, make my profit, get out of it, and move on. And then the next time it gets high, I can do that same thing again. That is a legging in and out covered call strategy. I like the stock. I'm in the stock, but if it's going to hit a point and drop, I want to see if I can't make a little side money on it. The reason we go out of the money is because just in case it drops and then comes back, it's like, hey, even if it did something like this, and it lasted all the way until right before, as long as it's below 52.50, it's going to expire out of the money, or I can buy it back, right? Hopefully that makes sense on a little quick covered call crash course. Great trade. I'm going to have to pat Glenn on the back one more time for that. Phenomenal trade. Nailed the target. I took the whole thing. If you like 54, great. 54 is closer to 18 days. Here's 8 days. It would have to hit here, pull back, and then maybe it gets to 54, closer to 18. That's viable. That's viable. Well, I'm just like a little bit of a gold chicken. Buck. I like Apple still, though. I would wait for the pullback. I wouldn't trade what we see having going on there. AbbVie, no. It's all at new lows. Haha, Miguel, right? I was thinking the same thing. I was like, what is happening here? Oh, goodness. AEE? That's a possibility. That is a definite possibility. Amazon. I don't think I'm feeling it. Maybe Amazon. We'll see. If Amazon can hold maybe like on a pullback above this level. Interesting that these lines are coming from probably at least a year ago. These lines now that are actually playing pretty well are coming from back here, where we're like, hey, what would this, if this thing stabilizes, I would love to trade a recovery from 180 to 240 again on Amazon. I would love it if it could come our way that way. Alibaba, no. Bank of America, no. Why am I saying no so quickly? You might be thinking to yourself, because I'm just really not looking at these things that are way down at these very bottom lows. The difference between something like that and Apple is we've made this move all the way up here, right? 170 to 200, that's 30 points. That's a 15% move. So if it pulls back and tests 185 and holds, that's exactly the pattern we're looking for. So I need to see that there's these big chunks of buying strength that broke out of consolidations. If it's something that's just something like that, if it's just something that's real near its bottoms, it's like, did that really break out? Not really. And it's got earnings. Sienna, maybe. CLS, maybe. CME. Okay, I didn't put it as an alert, but did anybody end up pulling the trigger on CME? It would have been a tough one. It would have been a tough one. If you hesitated and then you're like, I didn't, then you're like, oh, I knew it. Oh. Here's a quick question. Personally, do you watch our watch list and your own watch list separate, or do you have them all integrated, and do you go through it every single day? I'm going to start creating some polls. This is a brilliant idea. I'm going to create polls where I can be like, hey, what % of people have this in place or do this, or this is amazing. This is my new, I had an amazing journey for 4 years teaching a boot camp style class. It was like a laboratory of trading psychology. And it was interesting, but now I feel like I'm moving on to where I'm going to be able to gather the data that I want to establish things. So if and when, not if and when the polling starts to come, like right now, I think there's about 15 people or so. Out of 15, the expectation would be 12 answers at least, if not 15 out of 15. Because we are an amazing group. And I promise you'll find that there's going to be some insightful things that we learn by just sort of like pulling aggregate level data questions about different things. Anyways, I'm excited. To see what we can do. Separate and check several times daily. Bob, I like that. Integrated watch daily. Love it. Go through, have own mixed with yours. Love it. Thank you, everybody. CNP. Also, still looks pretty good, but it's like, would you take it? I don't know. Cisco's on my list of yes. Delta's a maybe. Duke. I don't know. I'm not really feeling the utilities on this one. Let's look at Fastenal. Oh man, look at that. Look at that. Nice industrials rally. Earnings came back as expected and rallied. Man, what do you know about Fastenal, you guys? If that's the cup and I get a handle, I'd think about it. If it quacks like a duck, it could be a bear. Oh, Sandy. Always follow your rules unless you don't. Flex. I mean, we're seeing enough of these. But again, I want you to notice, right? We're seeing enough of these where it's like, if this can hold, that's a possibility of recovery. I want these leaders who had the best showing over the last 8 days. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for bottom feeders coming out of this if you're going to do something like that. Walmart's a maybe for me. Yes, we'll get down there. You know, I'm superstitious and have to go in alphabetical order or else my heart hurts. Nobody wants that. Gold. Love it. Glenn's our man. He put that out and I knew it was meant to be. The second he gave it, I'm like, yes. Yes, I'm going to put it out. I'm going to take it. It's much better if I don't have to come up with gold trades. Goldman's amazing. I like Robinhood. That looks pretty strong, right? What are we looking for? We're looking for things that are like starting to show the Howmet. That looks pretty strong. But I'm not going to trade into something bullish until I see a selling cycle again. So if it's just like a FOMO rally, I'm going to be like, whoa, all right. I'll catch what I can intraday, but not for something where I'm going to put on a longer term, 4 to 6 day position. Those are going to be a little bit more strategic. How's everyone's day trading going if you're doing it? Or if you're even paper trading it? Are you figuring it out? Are you getting frustrated? Are you learning some things? Are you keeping notes? Are you tired of me asking you question after question? These are the things we want to know. Good day today. Love it. IBIT still sort of trending down. IBM. Pretty good bounce back. ICE, no. And ICE was one I was a big fan of, but now it's a no for me. It hasn't done enough. Still close, too close to the lows. Not enough buy action to think we broke the consolidation. We're in it still. We're too close to it. IWM, no. Small caps are not showing much yet. KMB, yes. Kroger is kind of bouncing off the 50. That was a maybe already. MasterCard, maybe. Meta starting to pull back. Meta's a yes for me. Boom, boom. Looking for this to hold and turn. That's definitely one for next week I'd be thinking about. We know there's plenty of momentum. We've got some great levels to help orient around targets and time frames and things to the upside. Why not? Morgan Stanley, maybe. Microsoft. Look at Microsoft. Look at Microsoft. Flirts around a little, pulls back, higher low. Plenty of opportunity for this to trend back up to 460. That's 3 or 4 trades potentially if that thing comes to fruition. Netflix, NI. You guys remember that beautiful little engine that could? NVIDIA's on my list and PLTR are on my list. Clearly, I'm a big fan of both. This is my guy, my candidate. Come on. Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Trade is Right. Philip Morris. Viable if you like a defensive trade. Viable, and you could even play a nice conservative Heiken Ashy, blip, blip, Heiken Ashy, bing, just getting going. Tell me if you noticed that or not. If you liked it, if you thought about it, if you let it percolate. Roblox. Roblox. Yeah, maybe. No on Reddit. Too low. Too close. Rocket Labs hasn't done enough. Woo, RTX. That was a V. That was a hell of a V. SE. Bouncing. Yeah. Is my green the 50 day? Yes. And God, as you say that, we're going to go a few minutes over, you guys. Now, Miguel brings up a point. Remember what I've said, that at any given time, you're going to have 3 core patterns and then maybe 1 or 2 secondary. And you could just kind of map it and be like, this is an A, this is a B, this is C. And as you go through your watch list, you'd be like, and it's going to fall along sector rotation lines, right? You're 100% right, both of you, about things like that. So first thing, let me do this. Every time it resets, I don't know if I need to resave, but whenever it's below the 50, I typically will add the 100, and I will also add the 200, and it looks like this, so that we can kind of see how those things, like you're like, oh yeah, sort of found a level and bounced up, and now it's sort of here. So, you know, what would we see a transition that then bounces back down and then comes up, right? And maybe gets a little above, and then, yeah, absolutely, we would see things along those lines. So yes, thank you for pointing that out. Yes, Miguel, we'll see a lot of correlation amongst our charts where it's like, and it's going to be subtle, because some of them you're going to be like, this one did enough, and another one will be just around here, and you're like, this one didn't. And it's a little bit subjective, and that's okay, because we're still going to be pretty discriminant about what we're looking for to move forward in this market. What a beautiful way to end the conversation. Thank you both for the contributions. SPY, where are we finishing? Ooh, the volume got close. And it might get a little over, but with only 1 minute left. Oh, no, it won't. It might get there. A little volume always trickles in after the fact. But no volume. We're even kind of coming down off the highs a little here late in the session. It just sort of failed to hold these highs from back here around later in the afternoon. Let's finish the watch list and call it a day. Risk management. Make sure your risk management trading section is strong. And if not, ask questions. I like Toast. I don't like TPR. I don't think it's had enough of a bounce. I don't like Tesla. I don't like TSM enough because I like NVIDIA and PLTR too much relative to it. Twilio for me is a no, too close to the lows. Visa is a yes. Nice bounce, looking for the pullback. Someone asked about Walmart. Oh God, look at Walmart. Finally doing what we were expecting earlier. It like lost its defensive orientation and now regained it. Can't trade it now though. We got to wait for the pullback. There it is. Maybe we're not going to take too much extra time because we're done. Section 4, make sure you know your portfolio heat, which is your overall portfolio risk. Make sure you know your trade risk per trade. Make sure you know how those fluctuate and adjust as market conditions fluctuate. Make sure that you have number of trades. Make sure you have when do you quit. Make sure you have when do you hedge. Risk is paramount. The more slices and dices you have of risk, the better of a trader you are. You know that sign that Notre Dame football that like play like a champion today, and they hit it every day when they go out on the field. You should have that sign every day you sit at your desk. It says, "Manage your risk like a champion today." Bing, and you hit it, and you're like, "Yeah, manage your risk, baby. Let's do it." It's good to see everybody. Have a great rest of your Friday. I hope the weather's nice. I hope you have some good plans. It's Charlie's chicken fingers for me. Charlie's chicken fingers, so good. This is my Friday afternoon delight. I'll see you guys Sunday morning. As always, happy trading.